All right. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Katie Shoemake, and I am with the Engagement and Analytics team. Our team is responsible for coordinating student outreach and managing the SEADS platform, among other things. And as part of our outreach efforts, there are several things that we do in the background outside of SEADS. One of those is starting about 2 weeks before the term begins with just an optional eConnection tutorial course. Students get access to this so that they can practice before classes start. It's set up exactly like one of our courses, so they can get familiar with navigating, taking quizzes, posting in the discussion board, and using the assignment folder. And after that, we have several set call cycles throughout the term. We actually begin on the first day of classes with our preemptive calls. And with these calls, we identify students who are in a high number of our eCore and eMajor classes and just give them a call to make sure that they'll be ready to go on day one. And during the first week of classes, we have two different call cycles for students who have not yet logged into their course. On day 3, we call everyone who has not yet logged in, just so we can help them get into the Go view and get started participating. And then we also repeat that same call cycle on day 5 or day 4 if it's the summer semester. And also throughout this first week, students are getting emails reminding them of what to do and how to get logged in. And then as the semester goes on, one of our biggest outreach efforts is for our project exams. And we call for both missing appointments and missing exams. For the missing appointments, we take a kind of escalated approach to this outreach, starting with an email reminding the students that they need to register to take the project exam. And then a couple of days later, we text them with another reminder. And then the day before the exam window begins, we call all the students who have still not registered to take their exam and try and get them to make that appointment right then. And then for our missing exams, after the exam window ends, we call the students who did not submit their project exam just to go over their different options at that point. And then during the summer semester, we also started adding in re-engagement call cycles just to catch students who were going for long periods of times without logging into their courses. And we started doing this because unfortunately not all professors do use SEADS to report at-risk students. So the re-engagement call cycles were just another safety net to kind of catch those students and just to see what we could do to help them. But I definitely encourage you to use SEADS to report any students as you see them throughout the term. And for those who may not know it, SEADS is the Student Engagement and Advancement Data System. It houses both student and faculty forums, and it's where you'll go to report at-risk students, among other things. And we'll start with the student forums. Students have several different forums in their version of the SEADS platform. You may have already gotten some reinstatement requests for students who were reported non-attending, but it's also where students will go to request an extension on a project exam. And if they need to appeal something or have a complaint, those forms are also located in the student portal. And students also have the option to fill out a student assistance request and report themselves as at risk. And we typically see the majority of those at the start of the term when they're trying to just figure things out. For our eMajor students, they also log into the SEADS student portal to submit a withdrawal request. eCore students no longer go through SEADS to withdraw from an eCore class. They follow their home institution's withdrawal procedures. And eCore students and eMajor students can get to SEADS by choosing Student Portal under the Resources tab in GoView. It's also usually linked in the course resources in the content in GoView, and they can also get to it by going to the eCore and eMajor websites if they need to. And when students log into their SEADS portal, this is what they see. On their main screen, they see a list of their eCore and eMajor classes that they're enrolled in, along with a button off to the right that will take them to student forums for that class. And once they choose student forums, they'll see the list of available forms. For example, an eMajor student will see the withdrawal form button, but an eCore student will see that message telling them to follow the regular withdrawal procedures at their home institution. And since course reinstatement ended on Sunday, that course reinstatement button has now been replaced with one letting them know that the reinstatement period has passed. And then on to the faculty version of the SEADS portal. So when you log into SEADS, you'll see this navigation bar along the top, and it's where you'll see several different forms that are available to you. The reinstatement forms and project exams have their own tabs because those are our student-initiated forms, and they typically need a faster response. And so when you click on those tabs, you'll be able to see and respond to any kind of student-initiated request. And with peers, with the project exam extension request, students can request to test early or test late, and they're advised when they fill out that form that approval is at the discretion of the professor. So definitely be watching your campus email address so that you'll know when there's a request for you to review. And all of your other academic forms are going to be located under the Faculty Forms tab, and these are things like grade change, academic honesty, incomplete forms, or change request forms. Those are all listed under the Faculty Forms tab. If your class has a project exam this term, you'll also find the exam registration report under that project exams tab, and this is where you can view who has registered for your project exam. And the testing team creates that report and uploads it to SEADS, and they typically do it every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Okay, got disconnected for a minute. Sorry about that. The main function of SEADS and the whole reason we built the platform is for at-risk reporting. And let me hang on a second. Okay, I think I'm back there. Sorry, I got disconnected for just a second there. So like I was saying, the main function of SEADS and the whole reason that we built this platform is for at-risk reporting. And in order to report a student as at risk, you have to know what this looks like. And so some things are obvious. For example, if a student isn't logging in or not turning in assignments, they're at risk of failing the course. But there are other things to look for. So is the student completing assignments but failing them, or just barely passing? Do they maybe need some tutoring assistance, or are they not fully engaged in the course? And a student who isn't fully engaged is probably completing some work, not everything, or maybe they're not completing the assignment fully. So for example, maybe they submitted their discussion post but didn't respond to their classmates, or they turned in their essay but didn't fully address their topic. And those are all things to kind of keep an eye out for. And if you do have students that you're concerned about, there are some things that you can do. You can always email them through GoView. But of course, if a student isn't logging into GoView, they're probably not seeing those emails. So you do have access to their campus email address if you need to try and reach them outside of GoView. You can also send a text message through the SEADS portal, and that's something that we'll talk about in just a little bit. Or if it's someone who really needs an extra bit of outreach, you can also call them. And student phone numbers are located in the mandatory attendance quiz, and some students may need a phone call from you guys. And when you're talking to students who are at risk, there are several different resources that you can point them to. For example, all eCampus students have access to free tutoring, such as tutor.com, and depending on your course, students may have access to embedded librarians or embedded tutors. But if you have a student whose concern isn't content related, you can also point them to the eCourse support form or eMajor support form, which is on the course homepage, and you can also point them to our Help Desk live chat. And of course, if you have a student who is at risk but you just can't seem to reach, you can report those students as at risk in SEADS, and a member of the student success team will reach out to them to provide support. And when you report a student as at risk in SEADS, the SST member assigned to your course will get notification about the at-risk entry, and they'll have 2 business days to contact the student and close out the ticket in SEADS by leaving you a note saying what they did. And one thing to keep in mind, if you remember the eCourse students do not withdraw through SEADS anymore, it means that you guys don't get notification that they've submitted a withdrawal request, and there won't be that 2 business day delay. So we're reaching out before the request is released to their home institution. So it's definitely more important now than ever to identify and report at-risk students early before they feel like they need to withdraw. And to report a student who is at risk, you can go to the My Courses tab on the navigation bar in SEADS. If you're teaching more than one section, you'll select your course from the menu on the left, which will bring up your class roster. And you have two options for reporting students at risk. You can report them individually, in which case you'll choose the notepad and pencil icon beside the student's name. Or if you have multiple students with the same concern, you can also choose the multiple entries option, which is just above the roster. And with the multiple entries option, you'll fill out the form once, select which student it applies to, and then an individual ticket will be generated for each student that you selected. If you use the multiple entries option, one thing we do ask is that you please be detailed with your comments so that we know what to communicate to the student. So for example, you can put in the notes that Davis missed quiz 4, Smith missed quizzes 2 and 4. That way we can hopefully just be as detailed as possible when we're talking to students. And with the multiple entries option, if you find yourself in the situation where you feel like you need to report your entire class or half of your class, I would say just maybe give us a heads up first, because there may be another approach to outreach that we can try first, but at the very least, we can give our SST member a heads up if they're about to see some tickets come in and help them out if they need it. And if you use the multiple entry option, it's going to take you directly to the at-risk form. But for single entries, you'll want to select the first option under what would you like to do, which is have eCampus contact an at-risk student. And so this is what the form looks like, and you'll fill out a section letting us know how you have attempted to contact the student and if they responded to you. And these are important because these are things that we can point the student back to. For example, if you checked GoView email, then when I call the student, I can tell them that your professor is trying to get in touch with you. Have you checked your GoView email lately? And you do have the option to use SEADS to document a concern that may not need SST intervention yet. So if the student did get back to you, or you feel the issue has been addressed, but you just want to make a note of it, you can always just check that no need to contact the student option to create the ticket, but we won't reach out to the student. And when you're filling out the ticket, you'll also identify your primary concern, which will help us prioritize the call, for example, not logging into the And then after you select the primary concern, you'll be able to choose any additional concerns that you might have. And this next section is a little bit newer and it's completely optional. But if there is something that the student is doing well, please definitely let us know. An example of this might be that they're doing really well on their discussion posts, but their replies to peers need some work. And then after you do that, you'll tell us what the student needs to do next. And when possible, we definitely want the student to leave our conversation knowing exactly what they need to do now. And that could be something simple like turning in the missed assignment. Or if missing work is a problem, it could be that the student needs to find the calendar in GoView and familiarize themselves with upcoming due dates. And finally, you'll give us any additional information that you can. And this is the place to tell us which assignment they missed or what's coming up next that they need to look out for. And just do remember that we have 2 business days to reach out to the student. So try not to submit a ticket about an assignment that is due tonight, because there's a chance that we may not be able to get to the ticket before the due date has passed. And then once the SST member has reached out to the student, we'll leave our notes back to you. You'll be able to see them on your dashboard under the navigation bar. And we do try to keep those notes to what we've done and not necessarily what the student told us, because we're always encouraging them to reach out to you as the faculty member and talk to you directly. And hopefully you've already seen the email about text messaging being available in SEADS now. If you haven't, I think that email went out last Monday or Tuesday, so definitely check your spam folder to make sure you're getting emails from us. But you do have the option of texting your students through SEADS. And when you go to the My Courses tab in SEADS, which is where you'll submit students at risk, you'll also see a tab that says SMS, which is where you'll be able to send text messages. And this feature is good for general messages and reminders. But do keep in mind that it is one-way only. So unfortunately, students cannot text instructors back. and it's limited to 135 characters for each message. So some examples of good things to send is if someone isn't logging in, checking in to see if they're okay, or if, say, there's an essay due tonight, you can text them and not due tonight because that wouldn't be enough time. But if there's an essay due over the weekend, you can text them to remind them about tutor.com, their drop-off paper review. And to send a message in SEADS, you'll just click that SMS button, and you'll see a screen like the one shown above. You'll see the number of SMS credits available to you at the top of the screen, and all faculty begin this term with 200 credits per course. If you need more, there's a Google form to complete in the garden for you to request more credits. And to send a message, you'll enter the title of your message in that SMS purpose box. And this is just for you, just to keep track of kind of the general, like a subject heading. The students will not see that title. You'll actually put your message in that next box. And then once you type your message, you'll choose which students to send it to on the right by clicking the check boxes. And one thing you'll notice in this screenshot is we have 2 students who have opted out of text messaging, so you won't be able to send them a message. And then after you click submit, the message will be sent to the students you've selected, and you can always see the messages that you sent under that message history tab. And if you guys ever have any question about how to use SEADS, text messaging, if you have a student who's at risk that you're concerned about, you can always send us an email at esuccess@ecampus.usg.edu.
Thank you, Katie. Great job. I'm going to go ahead and open it up to questions. I know I've answered a few in the chat. And if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself to ask Katie and myself, or you can enter your question in the chat. We'll hang out here for a few more minutes to make sure that all of your questions are answered before we leave. Thank you so much.
Hello, is anyone still there?
Hi, Professor Shope. Yes, we're still here.
Yes, I'm sorry, I got cut off and I just scrambled to get back in. Last minute question. Does anybody know the Galileo password? I can't find it for E4. Hello?
Sorry, I was getting into a course just to look.
Okay.
I'm not sure that they have to put in the password when they go through. Let
Uh,
me
I don't.
change.
Sitting from my laptop, I don't. But I just got a question from a student saying he tried to log in and they wouldn't let him.
Hmm.
Oh, I believe it's Shelf. I don't know who said that, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. And thank you for the session today. I appreciate it.